Hi, everyone. Welcome to the Northern Kentucky Spotlight Podcast, powered by CKREU. I'm your host, Sarah Brookbank. Today on the podcast, we are joined by Kurt Reiber of Freestore Foodbank. He talks about the increased need that they're seeing across the community and how you can get involved. Thank you to our podcast sponsors, CKREU, Google and Amazon advertising experts. Now let's go meet our members of the week, hear from our sponsor, and I will be back with Kurt.
Ranking on Google search and maps is easy to understand, but hard to do. It requires constant effort and attention, uploading new photos, responding to Google reviews, writing weekly posts, and checking suggested updates. Google listing optimization takes experience and time, and there are no shortcuts. CKREU gives your Google My Business account the steady, consistent attention it needs to be effective, optimizing, updating, and expanding critical content every single week. From local retail stores to large regional networks, CKREU generates content, establishes benchmarks, and creates dramatic, measurable increases in engagement. So what can CKREU do for your business? More calls, more clicks, more clients.
Congratulations to our members of the week. You can learn more about these businesses by following the Northern Kentucky Chamber on social media, where we highlight one of these businesses each day. Now, let's meet our members of the week. NKY Digital HR.ai is a groundbreaking AI-driven platform transforming the HR business partner experience. LW Office Furniture Warehouse offers top-quality, new and pre-owned office furniture at fair prices. Brandstetter Carroll Inc. is a firm of architects, engineers, landscape architects, and planners founded in 1979 with the express purpose of providing professional design services to public sector clients. The Strategic Ohio Council for Higher Education is a nonprofit organization committed to strengthening Ohio's workforce and advancing higher education through collaboration. For nearly a century, Rumpke Waste and Recycling has helped keep neighborhoods and businesses throughout Ohio, Kentucky, Indiana, Illinois, and West Virginia clean and green with their simple service solutions. Hi, everyone. Here on the podcast, we are joined by Kurt Reiber, CEO of Freestore Foodbank. Kurt, thank you so much for joining us today.
It's great to be with you.
I am so excited to have you on. Freestore Foodbank, you guys are a staple in Greater Cincinnati and Northern Kentucky. You guys are doing incredible work. Tell us about 2025. Tell us about the work you guys did last year.
Well, 2025 was obviously a challenging year for us. Mm-hmm. We had a government shutdown. People were just coming off the pandemic. And inflationary pressures were hitting all of our families, as well as the Freestore Foodbank and our 600 plus pantries across the 20 counties served by the Freestore Foodbank, 9 of which are here in Northern Kentucky. We saw about a 35% increase in demand. Last year alone, we closed our year end. We're on a fiscal year. So we closed our year end on June 30th, and we distributed over 47.2 million meals to the tri-state families. There's 275,000 of our neighbors that are food insecure. 82,000 which are kids. Actually, about 67,000 of them reside in the 9 counties that we serve in Northern Kentucky. So a lot of times people ask me, well, hunger isn't that big of a deal. Food insecurity isn't that big of a deal. But what we find is that it's that hidden factor. Mm-hmm. A lot of people don't talk about the fact that I can't feed my kids, because when you do that, then people judge you. And I think that's something that we saw, come out a little bit differently during the pandemic, because people saw their neighbors, they saw their friends, they saw their relatives that were living paycheck to paycheck. And that, unfortunately, has not stopped right now. And that's where we're seeing increased need and demand, but also the outpouring of support. During the peak of the pandemic, we did 43 million meals. Last year, 47.2 million meals. But this community, this Northern Kentucky community, has really rallied behind us and really stepped up in a big way in terms of financial support, volunteer support, and just understanding the need of their fellow human being right here in Northern Kentucky.
Yeah, and we love to hear that despite the fact that people are going through really hard times, and that has continued since the pandemic, we love hearing that people are still giving back. We know that is a huge part of what you guys do in the community, working with volunteers, rallying people around these community pantries. Touch a little bit on those partnerships that you guys have here.
Absolutely. I mean, we've got 140. First of all, I need to talk about our team. We have 140 amazing team members that are on the front line of hunger. I call them hunger heroes, working on the front line of hunger each and every day, whether it's providing social service support, whether it's providing food assistance, whether it's delivering food to the families that we have. But we have some great partners out there. In fact, one of our programs, Freestore Direct, we're doing in partnership with Amazon. And Amazon drivers will come by every morning and pick up 10 to 12 boxes of fresh produce that deliver directly to neighbors right in need. And those neighbors that we're working with have been identified by some of our healthcare providers. St. Elizabeth Hospital, for example, will tell us they have some patients that need to have a more produce-based diet. So we're providing them with a 20 to 30 pound box of fresh produce, and we're delivering right now. It's a pilot program, but it's working very effectively. So we're serving about 800 families throughout the week and really make a difference for them. But I think one thing that you mentioned as far as volunteerism, this tri-state community is known for its volunteers. We have over 12,000 volunteers who provide almost 85,000 volunteer service hours to us. We can't do the work we do. In fact, we had a group, several groups in yesterday in honor of Martin Luther King Day of Service, and a couple of the folks that came in, they said, "Well, during the week, do you normally have just your staff that does this?" I said, No. This is all volunteer driven. We have 3 staff members that are on our volunteer engagement team, and they work directly with our volunteers. But we have groups like City come in. We have C Forward come in. We have the Chamber has come in and volunteered with us. And what do? Well, they help us pack our Power Packs, which is our weekend feeding program for kids. We provide, we provide 220,000 Power Packs, which is basically my oldest son looks like a sack lunch, but it's got 2 cans of pasta dishes in there. It'll have a couple of different types of breakfast items in there, have some snack items in there. Basically, it's helping the kids that are on free and reduced lunches bridge the gap from lunch on Friday to breakfast on Monday. Because if you didn't know, 8 out of 10 children in the tri-state area are eligible for free and reduced lunches. So when they're out of school, whether it's for the holidays or whether it's for inclement weather, they're not getting fed.
Right.
And that's where we're trying to bridge that gap. So our volunteers come in and pack Power Packs. They also pack our senior boxes. Our senior boxes go to folks that are 60 years and older, and that's in supplement to what they get at our markets, like Be Concerned, Action Ministries, folks that are out there on the front line, neighbors helping neighbors. And then lastly, what they do is they help us pack our emergency food boxes or our holiday boxes. And we just came through the holidays. We saw over 15,000 of our neighbors come through for Thanksgiving, and about 10 to 12,000 come through for the December holiday as well. And it's just rewarding to see. You've got ages, all ages coming in. We had a family packing day where we had some of the youngsters come in, and we're always trying to build those new philanthropists.
Yes, raising that next generation of kids that are going to be giving back to their community. And one of the things I think is really interesting, you mentioned a number of different ways that you guys are meeting people where they are in terms of their hunger, in terms of need. Tell us a little bit more about the types of programs that you guys have.
Absolutely. There's 2 aspects of food banking. One aspect is what we call feeding the line, basically meeting that basic need for food in the family. The next is what we call end in line. We're trying to reduce the impact of hunger and food insecurity. And we do that through our social service efforts. We have social workers that are basically asking families when they come in for food, what brought you here and how can we keep from having to come back? We also have 2 workforce training programs. One we do in conjunction with Gateway Community and Technical College right here in Northern Kentucky. That's our logistics program called Lift the Tri-State, where our students that are underemployed or unemployed, some of whom have past criminal activities in their history, but they're coming in to get a new beginning. And it's a 10-week free training program, and they get certified on 4 different pieces of warehouse equipment. They also understand a little bit more about the logistics industry. We get them talking to some of the folks like First Logistics will come in and talk. Wayfair will come in and talk. We had some folks from CVG, Amazon come in and talk about what it's like to work in the logistics industry. Because many of these students, once they graduate, those will be the first full-time job they ever had. So the goal there is to not only help them become good community citizens, but also learn how to work as a team. How to address conflict resolution, but also what do they do when they get that first job? It's showing up. It's being present, and that's really what our training is all about, because it's more than just telling them the technical skills, but it's also telling them the people skills they need. And then when we couple that with the academic credentials from Gateway, it really is it's a game changer, because many times those students will come in and they'll say, "Wow, I've got the hands-on experience working on these pieces of equipment, but now I marry the academic credential to that, because they get the CLA certification, the CLT certification, which is Certified Logistic Associate or Certified Logistic Technician certification. But those certifications allow them to turn a job into a career."
Yeah, and that's incredible. And we know that workforce and that workforce piece, those logistics workers, that field is growing so much here in Greater Cincinnati as we see growth out at the airport. So it's great to know you guys aren't just solving the hunger crisis here in Greater Cincinnati. You guys are doing workforce development. You are bringing community partners together. You have been with Freestore Foodbank for such a long time. Tell us, as you look forward, for people that don't know, you are retiring here in the coming year. When you're looking forward at the things that you guys have done and what you will continue to do with Freestore Foodbank, what does that future look like?
Well, the future is bright. I think it's a large tribute to the team that we've assembled, but also this community, this caring community. I've been a steward. I've been the steward of these resources, and this gift of this community to the Freestore has been just wonderful. I look at where we are, where we're positioned. I see more collaborations. I'm looking and talking to the folks at Master Provisions to figure out how we can work with them and be more of a community-based partner with them. We're looking at some of the corporations here in Northern Kentucky and in the tri-state area and saying, how can we get you more engaged? Now that could be in terms of working with our Rubber Duck Regatta, which is our annual fundraiser. Could be with our Taste of the Bengals. Now I know the Bengals had a tough season this past year, but hope springs eternal, and we know that the idea there is to figure out how people can get involved, how they can get engaged. But we're also talking to some of the young professionals that are out there as well, and trying to figure out how do they get involved in either one of our committees or on our board, and really how do they figure out how they can grow their professional network, but also how they can give back, because we know that everybody is inclined to want to give back and pay it forward. And Freestore has been blessed by that. So when I retire this summer, I'm going to know that we'll be passing the torch off to the next leader. They'll be able to take this to the next level, because we've all stood on the shoulders of people that have come before us.
Yeah, and that's so great to hear. And one of the things also, it sounds like you guys are really innovating in a lot of these spaces, working with Amazon, finding new ways to meet the needs of the community. You mentioned your team. How do you guys facilitate that? How do you guys keep finding new ways to grow and improve the community?
Well, we try to encourage everybody to bring their best self into the corporation, into the organization. But also, we try to learn from our sister food banks across the country. We are part of the Feeding America Network, which is made up of 250 partner food banks and affiliate food banks that stretch the entire U.S. So we try to share our best practices with them, and we also try to pull in their best practices. So we've got Order Ahead, where folks can go online, similar to a Kroger click list, for example, and order the groceries online, and those are packed up and then shipped out. We're doing a lot of things now with food as medicine, trying to get people to eat healthier and be healthier. And that's being done in concert with folks like St. Elizabeth Hospital and the other healthcare providers around the tri-state area. We're looking at things where we can look at it and say, okay, how do we gain better access? Some of our sister food banks have been using these food lockers that you basically order your food, it's put into a locker, and somebody comes by, like an Amazon locker, picks it up, and then takes it home to them. So we're trying to figure out how we break down some of those barriers for the families that we're serving, and really try and make a difference in their lives.
Yeah, it sounds very cool, the stuff that you guys are doing. When you're thinking about the problem that you are facing, what do you think are the biggest obstacles right now?
Well, I think one of the key obstacles is the fact that we've got a stigma associated with the work that we do. Mm-hmm. No one wants to tell us or tell anybody that they can't feed their family. because people look down on them. I sort of liken it to this. If I came and told you, Sarah, I was diagnosed with cancer, first thing you wouldn't say is, well, did you smoke? Did you eat healthy? Did you exercise? Did you do things you're supposed to do? But as soon as you tell somebody that you can't feed your family, then that puts you in a different perspective, and people look at you differently. So one thing that we're trying to do now is try to break down those barriers. That's why we're getting so many school-based pantries set up. In fact, we have 6 college campus-based pantries. We have UC, NKU, Xavier, Mount St. Joe, Gateway, and Cincinnati State. But those school-based pantries allow us to have families more engaged with the school districts, because if you're coming in to shop for your groceries, that pantry in the school is open up when parent-teacher conferences are happening, when open houses are happening. So it's really looking at it from that perspective to say, you're getting the kids more engaged in school, and their families are more engaged in school. That's just a win-win situation.
Yeah, that for sure. And we know, like you said, a lot of hunger in students is definitely a problem. One of the things I want to kind of focus more on our audience here, the business community that really listens to this podcast, specifically for businesses who want to get involved with Freestore Foodbank. How can they do that? What are some of the best ways for people to get involved?
Best way is to go to freestorefoodbank.org, click on the Volunteer Now button. We've had a lot of folks, a lot of corporations and small businesses come in, and they use it as a team building opportunity. So they're going to come in and they're going to restock our shelves at our B-Taylor market or our Liberty Street market. They'll come and pack our power packs. Some of our, Fifth Third Bank, for example, sent some of their HR professionals in to talk to our managers about doing performance evaluations. So it doesn't have to be, we love it when people come and help us pack things and ship things out and do large-scale food distributions. We did a large-scale food distribution over the holidays with the Florence Y'all. But what we're trying to do right now is we're trying to figure out how can they use their skills, how they can use their strengths to benefit us. And it could be in the form of professional development. It could be in the form of financial support. Some of the corporations are sponsoring our various events, and that helps us because that then defrays the cost. When we do our hunger walk and run, that's done exclusively for the benefit of all of our pantry network. Those funds that are raised from those registrations go directly to those pantries. But the sponsorships that we get from corporations and businesses in the tri-state community help us defray the cost, so there doesn't have to be a cost passed on to those pantries. And that's really that's a win-win situation.
Yeah. Anything else for people who want to get involved that they should know before they get started?
Well, I would just say that if they don't see something on our website, give me a call. Send me an email. It's kreiber@freestorefoodbank.org, or they can reach me at 513-482-3737. But more importantly, folks can go to our website. If they don't find something they'd like to do or get involved with, let us know, and we try to figure out how we can make that happen.
Make it easy for people to get involved. We'd
Absolutely.
love to hear that. Kurt, it has been so great to have you on. Before I let you go, any final thoughts for our viewers and listeners today? Anything else they need to know about Freestore Foodbank?
Well, Sarah, I would say this, is that we are supporting over 600 pantry partners in the 20 counties that we serve. If they can't come to one of our locations, then I would encourage them to participate and work with one of our agency partners that are out there, because the Northern Kentucky Safety Net Alliance really makes a difference for us. It helps us meet the needs and meet the families where they're at.
Yeah, well, Kurt, thank you so much for your time today. It was absolutely a pleasure to have you on.
Great to be with you.
Thank you to our Investors Circle members. Our Investors Circle members help us promote and support the development of strong businesses and a vibrant economy in the Northern Kentucky region. Thank you to all of these members for their investment, which will help the Northern Kentucky Chamber of Commerce in our mission to develop and grow a thriving business community. Northern Kentucky needs tailored solutions to address our housing shortage. Home for All, Northern Kentucky Housing Strategies, explores how we can retain young adults, help older residents downsize or age in place, and ensure new neighbors have housing options that fit their lives. Dive into the report at housingNKY.org. Thanks so much for tuning in to today's episode of the podcast. I hope you enjoyed learning more about Freestore Foodbank and how you can get involved. Before I let you guys go today, I want to talk a little bit about our advocacy department. I know I had Tammy on a couple weeks ago, but one of the big things that we do here at the Northern Kentucky Chamber of Commerce is advocate on behalf of the business community. The Northern Kentucky Chamber serves as the voice for our members on key legislative and regulatory issues in Northern Kentucky, Frankfort, and Washington, D.C. As a member, there are numerous ways and opportunities to connect with your legislators and key government officials, get involved, and build valuable relationships. You can learn more about our government relations and business advocacy initiatives and explore our public policy positions at nkychamber.com/advocacy. Thank you once again to our podcast sponsor, CKREU, Google and Amazon advertising experts. And finally, if you're a member who would like to be featured on the podcast, or if you're someone who is interested in joining the Northern Kentucky Chamber, please reach out to Lynn Ablin. And if you're a member who would like to share your workforce strategies and resources on our Talent Strategy Spotlight, please reach out to Nancy Spivey. You can find their contact information on the screen if you are a viewer, and our listeners can find that at nkychamber.com/staff. Thanks so much for tuning in. I'll talk to everyone next week.